A very good afternoon to all respected dignitaries and guests. I'm delighted to be here. I'm Dr. Megha Gupta, Faculty Organization Behavior, NITI Mumbai. It is indeed a great privilege to be present here in your august company and host the panel discussion on capacity building in logistics sector through PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, launched the National Education Policy in 2020, PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan in 2021, and National Logistics Policy in 2022, with a collective aim to have a significant impact on the future of the nation, as well as to become the knowledge leaders of the world by excelling in different fields, including logistics and supply chain, which is the backbone of any economy. This panel discussion, anchored by National Institute of Industrial Engineering, Mumbai, aims to bring together academia and industry perspectives on ways to foster capacity building by creating synergy and integration between logistics sector, knowledgeable workforce, and trained manpower, subsequently leading to accelerated economic growth. It is my immense honor to introduce our session chair and our panelists. I would first like to introduce our respected session chair, Professor Manoj K. Tiwari, Director, NITI Mumbai. Professor Tiwari is a senior professor at IIT Kharagpur and currently Director, NITI Mumbai. He is a recipient of the prestigious David F. Baker Distinguished Researcher Award, IISc USA, the Mahalana Nobis Distinguished Educator Award from the Operations Research Society of India, and the Most Influential Researcher Award. With over 30 years of experience, he has published more than 350 papers in reputed international journals and has over 25,000 citations. He is a principal authority in the domain of manufacturing systems and operations, logistics and supply chain optimization. Through his outstanding and inspiring leadership, he has established NITI in the top 10 institutes of the nation. I'm very delighted to also introduce now our panelists. Our first panelist is Professor S.G. Deshmukh sir, Professor Mechanical Engineering, IIT Delhi. He has over 35 years of experience and has held various esteemed administrative positions, including serving 2 terms as Director of ABV, Indian Institute of Information Technology and Management, and Deputy Director at IIT Delhi, respectively. He has made significant contributions to the domain of operations management, logistics, and supply chain management. He has also contributed extensively to various policy-making initiatives and strategic decisions. He is a recipient of many prestigious awards, such as the Lillian Gilbert Award and Lifetime Achievement Award by Systems Society of India, to name a few. A name to reckon with, Professor Deshmukh is a prominent figure in the mechanical engineering domain. I would next like to introduce our guest and our panelist, Mr. Suresh Kumar R., Managing Director, All Cargo Terminals Limited. He's a seasoned industry leader with a proven track record of more than 30 years in the telecom sector, consumer business, mobile commerce, and media industries. His diverse experience includes building and growing businesses, change management, planning of investments, contemporary customer centricity focus, dynamic digital transformation, and revenue management. His exemplary leadership is taking All Cargo to newer heights. Our next panelist is Mr. Vikram Jaisinghani, Managing Director and CEO, Adani Logistics Limited. He's a visionary leader who has demonstrated game-changing business transformations cutting across various sectors, such as airports, logistics, industrial engines, paint, lighting, and automobile components in a career spanning over 39 years. With his dynamic profile, rich experience, and exceptional leadership, he's guiding Adani Logistics Limited towards accelerated growth and success. We also have with us Professor Biswajit Mohanty, Professor Industrial and System Engineering from IIT Kharagpur. He has a rich and varied professional experience with a career of over 6 years in industrial experience and 25 years of teaching, research, consulting, and so on. He has made impactful contributions to the operations research and supply chain management domain. He has also carried out multiple industrial consulting projects and sponsored research projects, contributing significantly to policy making and industry through applied research. He's a professor par excellence in the industrial and system engineering domain. Our next panelist is Professor Prasad Krishna, sir. He's Director, NIT Calicut. Professor Prasad has 37 plus years of professional experience in a variety of sectors such as automobile manufacturing and space research, to name a few. He has received several honors and awards for his academic brilliance. He has published extensively in various national and international journals and conferences around the world. He's one of the strongest pillars of mechanical engineering domain, and with his great leadership, he is establishing NIT Calicut as one of the most sought-after institutes in technology. Our final panelist is Ms. Ruma Kishore, Director, Global Digital Transformation Customer Experience, Unilever. Ms. Ruma Kishore also holds the charge of IT for logistics for Unilever globally. With 26 years in the FMCG domain and across 18 different roles that have spanned across customer development, supply chain, order to cash, market research, and various technologies, she has also done a business stint on developing growth opportunities with HUL in early part of her career. In her role as Global IT Director, she is excelling in transforming customer operations for Unilever through technology. She is also nominated by Economic Times in 2023 as one of the 5 women in IT leaders in India. She's an alum of NITI, and she's a role model exemplifying excellence in business, innovation, and leadership. I would now request our respected session chair, Professor Tiwari sir, to kindly open the session.
Paramadharani, members of this group, my co-session panelists, and all other dignitaries here, my namaskar to all of you. Actually, this particular session is slightly unique one to project some of the key issues which are related to the capacity building after the growth of a very new missionary projects launched by our Honorable Prime Minister. This is called PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. This plan was particularly envisaged to give boost to the infrastructure development in the country, along with 2 other policies which has taken place. One is the National Logistics Policy. Along with that, there were some other developments has taken place, particularly how to digitalize the many operations which are standalone in the nation. But question is that why at this forum we are linking this kind of infrastructural projects with the, our new national education policy. So priority is here, the way in which infrastructural developments are taking place, so many ports, so many airports, almost 4 or 5 times than what it was before 2009. And such a massive infrastructure of connectivity that is taking place through the road, rail, other networks. So certainly we need a boost of knowledgeable and very skilled kind of engineers, managers, and other people who can manage these things which are coming and born out of the newer technologies. So in the academic institutions and training places, we have to create the ecosystem which needs the particular knowledge of the several subjects which are linking with the capacities that need to support this massive infrastructure development. So in this regard, our Honorable Minister along with the Secretary Sir, they have conducted series of the workshop with the academic leaders of the country, particularly IT, IIM and IITs and universities. And in that it was emphasized very clearly that what are the subjects which are connected with the what are the topics, area, ecosystems, particularly research and innovations, which may born out of development of such kind of mission. So particularly if you see the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, its platform is available with the DPIIT, a ministry that is coming under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So there is institutions in the Gandhinagar called Bhijak N. They have the particular software and platform where most of the data that are required to the different layers they are given there. What are these data? They are the data pertaining to the positions of the river, positions of the hillocks, villages, cities, road network, rail network, warehouses. So, and many of the positions like latitude, longitude, all these details are given there. So amount of time that required to plan and create infrastructure can considerably reduced, which were required in earlier years, now can be done in the months. So whenever such a pace is taking place in creating infrastructure, then similarly we also need the kind of digitized and newly trained manpower to support all this thing. So maybe the area which needs attention, maybe you can say the shipping management, port management, air cargo handling, food supply chain, then comes financial aspects in investing in the warehouses, automation, and other remaining technologies which are born out of such developments, like say how the IoT is, machine learning, 3D printing, AR, VR, and also you can say other emerging field like blockchain, how they are connected with the kind of developments which are taking place. So we need the several newer areas and subjects that are to be launched actually as electives or as a you can say CP courses through which we can augment. So you will be happy to know that last 1.5 years we surveyed and we tried to collect the data. We found that from the 55 institutions, till now around 17,000 different students, they have gained some sort of expertise in one way or another way pertaining to the logistics, supply chain, and related areas. So several institutions, they are offering the courses on the broad area, either sometimes in civil engineering through transportation, or a business schools, supply chain, or bigger institutions like IIT Kharagpur, they have a different domains like agriculture and food engineering. They have the full courses on different areas. We have industrial and systems engineering department. They offer the 2-3 courses in supply chain. The business schools are also offering the courses in this area. So similarly, IIT Delhi also in mechanical engineering department as well as in the department of management studies. NIT Calicut, they have established a center also. Even when Professor Shukla was there in the NIT Jamshedpur, he also started trying to have center of excellence in the transportation and logistics. So even I am Ahmedabad also a center on transportation and logistics. So now many institutions, they are trying to create such kind of environment where more innovation and entrepreneurship type of activities also can be taken place. So several students, they can be given internships, they can be given summer projects, they can deal with in this area. And why such needs coming up? You can imagine that how much saving we can do. Currently, approximately it is said that though it was calculated long back ago, that logistic cost is somewhere around 14% of our GDP, but it's quite debatable now because several infrastructure which has created, this may certainly come down to some level, but our target is somewhere around 8% or 9%. So if we go, then every year the saving will be in the tune of around 3 to 4 lakh crore rupees. And with this amount, you can imagine that how much many socially relevant projects and other measures can be taken by the nation, which are being drained out because of the excessive logistic cost. So therefore, it is important from all the academic leaders as well as institutions and training institutions to train the people, to enable the students to learn more and more about such kind of areas. And simply speaking, even the industry like aircraft maintenance, you can imagine that how much money they have saved by simply one exercise called inventory management, material management. And also, if you see the kind of technology like digitization that has helped the country to manage the vaccine supply chain, which is eye-opener for entire world. Because we were talking to so many professors in the Western world, they all have recognized the power of India, that how nicely cold chain, which are very only 5 to 6 days total, you can preserve at to 8 to 10 degrees centigrade. So such kind of critical thinking and things that has maintained by the nation is a remarkable and eye opener for many of the Western world. So that shows that we have the capability to run such kind of cold chain and related things. So now the question is how these newer technologies which are emerging in the computational field, in the other domains, particularly which are the boundary between the interdisciplinary branches. So therefore, you can't say that this is related to mechanical, civil, or electrical. They can be the elective courses for training, which are very much required to support this massive development, and how much capacity we need to support such development as well as fall out of that development. So with this note, I just want to complete my opening remark. Now I request my other speakers to contribute. as far as and they will ask that how they are feeling that about this particular thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening opening of the session. I now request Professor Deshmukh, sir, to kindly address the audience.
Thank you, Dr. Megha. Honorable Chairperson of the session, my fellow panelists, and distinguished audience. It is really pleasure to be with you this afternoon discussing about a very, very important mission, that is PM Gati Shakti mission. And this has really changed the rules of the game. And this is also equally challenging for the academicians as well as for the practitioners. And this we are visualizing at the backdrop of the National Education Policy 2020. And basically what is the essence of NEP 2020 is interdisciplinarity, the enhancement in the knowledge and skill base, promotion of innovation and entrepreneurship, and at the same time we emphasize on strong collaboration with industry. And with these basic tenets of national education policy, there is an important assumption that the way we look at the world, the way we do our research, it is strongly influenced by the context and the culture within which we operate. And I think that is the starting point we have to take into account. And for this context, what could be a better context than the logistics sector? Logistics sector is the backbone behind a variety of sectors. You talk about automobile, you talk about pharmaceutical, you talk about retail. The logistic provides a necessary mother support for carrying out activities in this. And currently, as Professor Tiwari has mentioned, there is a lot of concern that how much is the cost of logistics. And this cost is a sizable proportion of our GDP. And this cost typically consists of the cost of transportation, cost of inventory, and the cost of management or administration. So roughly this figure is about 14 to 14.5%. And the target is to reduce this to a single digit, maybe 8 to 9%. And with that target, the national logistic policy has been designed. The basic purpose of national logistic policy is to reduce the cost, make our goods as competitive in the global marketplace, and at the same try to offer a solution which will be a streamline and which will be a value adding to variety of customers. So from that point of view, the national logistic policy has to be visualized. So Megha has mentioned three developments: NEP, the PM Gati Shakti, and the logistic policy. All these three are very, very important. And the connecting thread is basically how do you provide the necessary technical support, how do we build capacity for this particular sector. And I think from that point of view, the capacity building exercise has to be appreciated, it has to be visualized. And in this connection, I must compliment huge effort which has been spent by NITI. NITI has trained many professionals. And let me share with you that I also participated in 3 of their programs. I got a valid certification from NITI, and that has really helped me in strengthening my subject domain, that is the supply chain management. And I think with this view, we have to look at the capacity building exercise. And this also hinges on the fact that we have got many examples where the synergy between industry and the academia is to be visualized. Let me give 2, what we call it as use cases. The first use case is that of use of waterways. Recently, in February, Tata Steel has utilized, there is a very interesting route called as Indo-Bangladesh Protocol. And this route provides connectivity between Bangladesh and India. So for the first time, a multimodal logistic was used, and this has helped Tata Steel in transporting more than 900 tons of steel from Bengal to Agartala and via Bangladesh. And this has also demonstrated huge saving in the transportation cost. Now this becomes a very good case study for us as an academician. This also gives a lot of material for developing at the back end optimization model and try to see, can we reduce this logistic cost further? Can we improve our quality of service and so on? And when we say quality of service, we are also internationally benchmarked. There is an index called as Logistic Performance Index, which is published by World Bank, and currently we are ranked at a very good position of 38. And the aim of this NLP, National Logistic Policy, is to improve further. And this improvement in the LPI is on account of several factors, like massive improvement in our infrastructure, the initiatives like NLP and the PM Gati Shakti program, and also having a good orientation, especially for digitization and improving the quality of service. And the way we handle our transport, the way we handle our ports, that is going to be a major area for the further set of improvement. So we need to train people in sensitizing about the importance of LPI, as well as the mechanisms by which this LPI can be further strengthened. The second example is borrowed from our own case. At IIT Delhi, we have a lab called as PSL, Public Systems Lab, which looks at the large scale problem, which are of interest from the public point of view, where there's a heavy investment in the infrastructure, as well as the aim is to satisfy the citizens of the country. And what could be a better example than the PDS, Public Distribution System? So currently we are looking at the public distribution system of Uttarakhand state, and our preliminary estimate says that there could be a considerable amount of saving in the transportation and distribution cost. The savings ranges between 15 to 30%. Now that is a big saving, and try to superimpose on this the imposition of technology, imposition of initiatives like blockchain, and so on. These savings can be further reduced. So we are looking at a variety of scenarios. For example, what will happen if an alternate route is provided? What will happen if a particular warehouse is shifted from one location to another? What will happen if the fair price shop is closed in some location, or we want to locate new fair price shops in some locality, and so on. And for that, the data which is available in the PM Gati Shakti provides a very, very useful forum. We can know exactly what are the coordinates, and based on these geographical coordinates, we are able to locate an optimal facility. And this is a very, very massive mathematical model. And we are also developing a good user interface, which will help in simulating a variety of scenarios. So the point is, we have to look at capacity building, the professionals who can look at such model, which are developed as an outcome of the academic institute, collaborate with the government, collaborate with funding agencies, and also try to collaborate with the industry. Now this particular project of PDS is sponsored by WFP, World Food Program, and that has really given us good insight. We have also looked at how this operates in other states of the country, and at the end of the day, we'll be developing model at the national level, and that will also save a lot of, I would say, savings on the transportation cost, as well as it will improve the quality of service. So for this, we have to look at the capacity building exercise from a totally different perspective. Capacity building is not just training. It is not just training of the personnel, but along with the training, we also have a look at how do we reform our logistics sector, how do you initiate new introduction of technology, which will also complement our efforts in the modeling. So PM Gati Shakti is a good aggregate technology enhanced platform by which we look at the massive problem and try to have an orientation to solve this, train our people in solving this particular problem and showcase this to the entire world. One of the immediate attention is what Professor Tiwari mentioned. We gained a lot of confidence the way we distributed COVID vaccine. The design of the vaccine, the R&D effort is extremely laudable. At the same time, the way this vaccine was distributed, this is also hats off to our capacity, the way we looked at the entire logistic problem. And I think that needs to be aggressively told to the globe that we have got the capability, we have the expertise, and this way we can also help other countries as far as our leadership in the knowledge, our leadership in entrepreneurship is concerned. I must also mention a few startups, logistic startups, which have been set up by IIT and NIT alumni. You must have heard the name Shadowfax, the name Delivery, Let Us Transport for You, and all these initiatives are basically coming from young brains who are worried the way we transport our goods, the way we want to improve the quality of service, and so on. And they have also become some kind of a role model for others to emulate. At IIT Delhi, we have got a very, very vibrant startup culture, and students get message the way look at the seniors, the way they look at the other agencies, and the kind of transformation such kind of logistic startups are making in our country. And I think we also need from academic side to document this and showcase to the entire globe. So our responsibility as academia is to develop and document case studies, showcase it to the world, take these seeding points from the practicing world, our surrounding environment. We as a country, we are a young nation, we are the largest country with huge population, but at the same time, we are also a nation with huge diversity. And I think that leverage we have to make use of, and accordingly, we need to develop our expertise in the logistics sector. And from this point of view, the entire exercise of capacity building has to be looked at. So this becomes, I would say, a good aggregate platform for both industry and academia, for both teachers and the trainers, for the industry and the startup culture. We need to synergize this particular event. At the back end of this event is the keyword Sangam. Sangam is the convergence. And this convergence between academia and industry, I think this can be really utilized as far as the logistics sector is concerned. So from that point of view, we have to appreciate our effort in this, and we must keep on moving so that our position as far as logistic performance index is concerned is improved maybe by 2030. I think that is the target that the government has set for us. And PM Gati Shakti provides a very, very fertile and useful platform to look at variety of scenarios, get the data, try to develop the model, make some mechanism by which we can validate and try to demonstrate how these models are to be actually implemented. So from that point of view, the entire capacity building exercise has to be appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for beautifully highlighting how we can integrate the three policies and its application in the practical use cases and examples. I would now like to request Mr. Suresh Kumar, sir, to kindly address the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Chairman. It's an honor to be part of a panel that you host. My co-panelists of repute from academia and industry, and very happy to be with all of you keen listeners. I understand it's a good mix of students, younger generation, and very, very experienced people from different walks of industry, part of the audience. So it's an honor for me to be in front of you today on behalf of All Cargo Logistics, the company that I work for, to share 4 things which are related to the topic. But before I get there, first of all, thank you, Professor Megha, for the kind words of introduction. After 2 professors speak, it is always very difficult to kind of come and add anything more to it, because professors are known to be very comprehensive and they are very articulate. Because they are comprehensive, there is nothing much left to say after that. And because they are very articulate, there is no better way of saying that. So it's a tough task for me to come here and follow them. I'm also reminded about my time in college when professors used to be very difficult, because you're not good in academics and you're in college and doing various things in engineering and management. You see a professor in the corridor, your first instinct is to kind of sidestep and go away and then not to be talking to professors. And today it is my good fortune to be coming and sitting along with so many professors and then being able to talk to all of you. So that brings me to the first thing that I wanted to talk to you is about the India story. I think Professor Deshmukh briefly talked about the demographic dividend that we have as a country. And I go back to the time in which I was studying my engineering and then my management. The biggest lines those years, early 90s, was about India's potential. And then everybody who used to come and talk to us talked about what India's potential is all about. And I'm very, very lucky that in my lifetime I'm able to see this potential really coming now to reality. Every which way you look at it, you talk to anybody inside the country, outside the country, there is so much of happiness and pride about what India as a country is now starting to do. And I think the reason for this is the progressive policies of the government, citizens coming up with initiative and doing a lot of things. Aspirations in this country is no more seen as something which we should always hide. We are happy to be aspirational, we are happy to be ambitious, and we kind of work to get to those ambitions. So it's a new India that we are talking about. And in this new India, I think there is a very strong root that we have of our cultural heritage. And now to that cultural heritage, we are getting into this leading the world kind of approach that we have for various things. So I'm just reminded of the various revolutions that this country has been part of. So there was a green revolution which used to be talked about from the 60s and 70s, and I think everybody felt great that India as a country could become self-sufficient in rice and wheat and paddy, and we didn't have to go out to get our food supplies. Then in the 90s, we had the liberalization which happened a little by force because our foreign exchange was running off, and then we had to do a lot of things. And that was a start of a new era in the country, and that's the time in which I graduated from college. And that led to the software services-led revolution in the country, which I think is now created so many different world leaders amongst industry from our country. Then came the telecom revolution, which I, in my working in telecom for about 25 years, was part of. From the time in which one had to wait for 4 years and 5 years to get a telephone connection at home, I think now you walk across, and across the counter you get a mobile telephone and you're connected to the rest of the world. And that's how the telecom revolution in the country happened. Professor Deshmukh talked about logistics being the backbone. I think telecom has been the backbone for a lot of industries, and that has really helped a lot of things. The telecom revolution led to a banking revolution. The banking revolution then has led to democratization of credit and a whole lot of those things, and uplifting of our poorer sections, vulnerable sections in the country. And now that is now leading into an e-commerce revolution, and then a technology revolution, and possibly the time has now come for a logistics revolution or a supply chain revolution in this country. When I talk about supply chain, 2023, the size of the supply chain industry in the country was about $435 billion. And it's expected to be in 2028, 2029, it's expected to be about $650 billion US, which is a CAGR of about 8.5% from now to 2028. Which means the logistics industry will grow marginally faster than what the growth rate that we want for our GDP in our country. 7.5%, 8% is a very good growth rate. We are one of the largest, fastest growing, largest economy. And if logistics grows at this pace, I think everything around logistics will also grow significantly faster. And that is where I just want to talk to you a little about what All Cargo as a company does. We are a company which was started about 30 years back, very, very close to the time in which liberalization started in this country. And it has now become an organization which is present in 180 countries across the world. We are less than container load leaders in the world in terms of less than container load traffic which moves in the world. We are the market leaders. We have CFSs, which is the port side logistics management that happens in the country. We are the largest CFS provider in the country, and we are a market leader in that. Gati is an organization which we had acquired, which is an organization in express logistics and contract logistics, and these are three very prominent portions of our business. We are listed in the Bombay Stock Exchange, and we are going through a strategic demerger, at the end of which there will be 4 listed entities of All Cargo Logistics by the end of August. So that's what All Cargo Logistics is all about. We are into multimodal transportation. So if you are to think about a couple of examples, if you were to ask me about what is the kind of work that we do, imagine your house getting repainted and you go to a company like Asian Paints or Berger or any of those companies. These companies, the raw materials come in typically from different organizations across the country, say for example Dow Chemicals, and that gets imported into our country. This becomes raw material for the paint companies, and it goes to paint. They make the paint, and that paint that has to go to the distributors, and from the distributor to the retail shops. In this entire chain, you will see a little bit of All Cargo. Because we are there in international freight, we help move things from any portion of the world to India and vice versa. We are, in our company, we call ourselves as the Uber of shipping. We don't own ships, but we transport things across the world. And we have got 2,500 direct trade lanes in the world into which we transport things. These imports come into the country, and those imports have to go into customs clearance and then warehousing. We are part of that. And from warehousing, it has to be transported into the factories of the paint manufacturers. Since I took a paint example, we are there in transportation. We are also there in warehousing. And then the last mile through Gati, we ensure that it reaches the distribution center, and from there to the retail outlets. So this is one example of how we are there as part of the supply chain in a small way. I think there are many companies in the country which do exactly what I said. And we have got in the panel itself, I'm sure you'll hear from our panelists the kind of work some of the larger organizations do. But All Cargo Logistics is starting to make a difference in all these things through the things that it does in multimodal logistics, in port side logistics, in contract logistics, in 3PL, and in express logistics. So that's what we do. And when we do this, capacity building becomes very, very important. And when we look at capacity building in our organization, in our industry, it is about thinking long term, doing things in partnership with other industry participants, and then partnership with academia. I just want to give you a small example of how Niti had helped us when we started the ESG journey in our company. So there is a lot of work which happens in ESG, but it has always been happening under different heads like CSR, and there would be some work which will happen on environment. We are a listed company, therefore the governance practice in the company would really be strong. But we never had an ESG framework putting all these things together. So about a year back, when the board decided to embark on the ESG journey, the first thought that came to us was, how do we train our people in ESG? In terms of the size of our organization, we are about 10,000 people. And I'm happy to tell you that with our international workforce, we are kind of a gender balanced organization, while in India, there is a lot more that we need to do to get gender balance, but internationally, we are at about 55% of our workforce is women, and overall, that makes us a gender balanced organization. So we thought about how do we train the top leaders of our company on ESG, and Professor Tiwari and his team came to our mind. So we approached them and asked them whether they could train the top 300 managers and leaders in All Cargo on the basics of ESG. And I think Professor Tiwari put together a very curated 1.5-day program for us and all of us. And internationally, this was done during the last phase of COVID. So a lot of people had to join online. And you know the spread of the organization, different time zones. It was a wonderful 1.5-day session, at the end of which we passed the tests which the professors had given us, and we got a certification at the end of it. And that was the start of our ESG journey. So for us, capacity building means all this. One is internally, how do we build capability and competencies to look at the new things which happen? And I just wanted to share with you, when you talk about logistics, the first thing which comes to your mind is of a brick and mortar company, ships and things like that. But I think it's substantially changed. Professor gave the example of delivery. We are also doing a lot of work on the digital transformation side. So we are not a digitally born company. We have been around for 30 years and now we are adopting digital in our organization. So EQ Worldwide, ECU Worldwide is the international freight chain, supply chain company that we have. And over the last 4 years, we have digitally transformed that organization and we have created a platform called EQ360, which takes care of bookings anybody wants to do. Suppose somebody wants to move something from, say, Madrid to Madras or from Shanghai to California. I think they just need to log on to the EQ360 platform. They get the different rates, they get the timing, and they are able to book. And there will be a person or a representative or a franchisee of our organization will go and pick that cargo from that location, put it on the right kind of a ship and get it delivered. So we have built this platform over the last 4 years. We call it EQ360, and about 60% of our international bookings now happen through this. So that is capacity building for us and how we change the world in terms of, we were never a digital company. We learned how to do things digitally, and we are now pushing that as one of the differentiators that we have. So for us, this conference is very important. The policies that the government has come up with, the new education policy, the logistics policy, Gati Shakti policy, the logistics policy, Sagarmala, DFCC, and we are going to be one of the organizations which will clearly benefit from the progressive policies that the government has on DFCC. And you know that in our country, multimodal is a bit skewed in favor of road, and road is not the most cost-effective way of moving things. It has to significantly move on to rail. And if logistics in our country, while Professor Tiwari talked about whether it is 14%, 12%, 10%, there are different debates which go on. But we believe there is definitely a scope to reduce the cost of logistics in our country. And the progressive policies like Sagarmala, like DFCC will definitely help. And as an organization, we would like to be positioned in the right manner to take advantage of all this. So I look forward to hearing more from our other panelists on all these topics. It's been wonderful coming and talking to you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for critically highlighting the importance of long-term vision and partnership with academia and industry to foster capacity building. I would now like to request Vikram sir to kindly address the audience.
Respected Director of NITI, honorable professors from very esteemed universities, co-panelists, and my dear friends. It's a privilege today to represent a very pioneering nation builder, Gautam Adani, who started the first private port company in the country. The visionary gentleman set foot on a salt pan in Mundra, and when many people told him nothing can be made over here, he went ahead and created the largest port in the country. Mundra was just the beginning. He didn't stop. He went ahead and created the string of pearls, as we call, a chain of 15 ports on the west side and the east coast, to completely complement and build the strongest port infrastructure private infrastructure that the country has ever seen. So much so that today we proudly say that 27 to 28% of the country's EXIM traffic moves through the Adani ports and logistics infrastructure that we have created in the last 30 years. Some 4 or 5 years back, we realized that it is not essential, it is not just sufficient for us to only create a port company. The overwhelming need of the country was to also have a complete logistics connectivity. And from that time, we changed our vision. And if you see the APAC's annual reports, we used to predominantly call ourselves as a port company. Now we don't call ourselves as a port company, now we call ourselves as a transport utility company, which means the vision suddenly changed from just the port gate to extend all the way to the customer gate. And that's where the vision for building a strong logistics network and for us to become a single stop solution for all the logistics, end-to-end logistics needs of the country, that vision emanated. And that's where I feel very proud to be associated with this complete journey. Wanted to share a little bit of what we have achieved over the last 4 years. And in the last 4 years, Adani Logistics has gone and very proudly commissioned 11 multimodal logistics parks in all parts of the country, north, south, west. In Maharashtra alone we have 2, which is in Taloja and in Nagpur, that we just recently commissioned just a couple of weeks back. We run more than 90 trains at this point of time. And I think next 6 months I can really forecast that we should cross the number of 130 cargo trains that we will run in the country. Not to be just satisfied with moving container cargo, which is the predominant mix of cargo in the west coast. We embarked on a journey to move the bulk cargo also, which is where the needs of the country as far as the east coast is concerned. And today we are moving about 44 trains dedicated for customers like Tata's and Rashmi and so many like SAIL, where coal, iron ore, dedicated movements from the port to the customer gate, and their dependency on the Indian Railway cargo or rakes have been reduced dramatically, reducing their cost of supply chain dramatically. Their shortages, their outages, their inventory buildup, everything has been impacted so positively, significantly, that this scheme of bulk cargo transportation has proved immensely successful. Not to be resting only on the bulk cargo, I talked about container cargo, the bulk cargo. Today we proudly say that industrial revolution, the agricultural revolution in the country started many years back. But that was only the first step. What was sorely needed in this country was the distribution revolution. We all know what percentage of food grains were wasted before it reached the end consumer. We all know that roughly the cost of wastage was estimated to be about 30%. And the country needed a robust supply chain across the country. And I think we have pioneered along with the FCI to build a public distribution setup where the cost of wastage today is 0. 30 to 0. I can't say that there is a drastic improvement from 30 to 10 or 6. I boldly declare that we are 0, where we pioneered the concept of silos, agricultural silos, which are complete automatic storage of grains, movement of grains by train. And today we have an installed capacity of 1.1 million metric ton across the country. During the time of COVID, where the country was having severe lockdowns, I think one of the things where citizens will proudly say that the supply chain was not shut. Citizens will say that we were not short of food grains. We were not short of everything. We were sitting home, the market was closed, the shop was closed, everything was closed. But not a single individual will say that food grains did not reach us. And in that critical COVID time, I proudly say that all our silo facilities were working 24/7. And the harvesting season, if you see the statistics of harvesting during the COVID lockdown, those were record harvesting seasons for the country. It got enabled only because we had already built a very formidable public distribution system across the country. People still associate us as with ports, but not many people know that we are also the backbone builders for the public distribution system in the country. As I speak, we have a clear plan that in the next 18 months or 24 months, This 1 million metric ton will get increased to 4 million metric ton. And we will come out with similar silo distribution networks in 70 different locations across the country. We already have 20, and we will cross 90 different locations, making our logistics, food grain distribution system the best in the world. And you can imagine when this overall cost and these things are implemented, what is the benefit it will bring to the country in terms of food sufficiency, in terms of cost of logistics, and the robust economy that it will propagate. We have come out very strongly in building warehouses because the country predominantly in the last so many years invested or had a proliferation of grade B warehousing. And we realized that there is a big infrastructural gap over here. The country needed fulfillment centers. E-commerce was growing, will grow, and will become the backbone of the retail distribution network. Where is the infrastructure to support that growth? And therefore, the company started its next foray of building warehousing across the country. Today, we have already commissioned and installed 1.5 million square feet of warehousing across the country. And we are very confident that in the next few years, we should even build 25 to 30 million square feet across the country, because without a warehousing, the complete supply chain gets partially fulfilled. And you need these end-to-end distribution centers. You need these consolidation centers. And without warehousing facilities, these things are not complete. So, with so many verticals, we then added the last mile trucking distribution with the help of digital. And now we believe that from the port gate to the end gate, we have all the requisite infrastructures and the plan in place to really help the country, to really be a part in the nation building exercise that we are all in. And really the dream of fulfilling of the reduction of logistics cost to 8%, at least I can see it happening in our lifetime, or not something that we can say that will happen 10 years back. Obviously, the government was working in parallel to understand and remove the bottlenecks, and the first in line of a very revolutionary policy was the Prime Minister Gati Shakti Master Plan, which was the backbone and a precursor for all the other policies. I want to give a very small example. The DFC was commissioned, and the DFC came out with a tender for people to come and build terminals across the DFC. It did not succeed. It did not succeed because when we went and we started scouting for the land, we realized that none of the lands were approachable. Somewhere there was reservation, somewhere there was forest plan, somewhere some utility was there, some gas corridor was there. And that is the reason the Prime Minister Gati Shakti Master Plan now ensures that such a thing and wastage of time in building infrastructure is totally avoided. Now if you see, the plan will already tell you with so many layers of blueprints cutting across multiple sectors available that you can take a decision 2 minutes whether this is a go or no go, and all these time wastages and the coordination impact has been completely eliminated. This was the first revolutionary thing which our Honorable Prime Minister released and will help accelerate the infrastructure making in the country with speed by at least 10x, 20x. That is the power that it has unleashed. Not to be outdone, states have implemented the national logistics policy. Every state now has a logistics policy, and therefore there is complete unison between what the center has envisioned and what the states will do. States are now going for single window policy making, where all the clearances will be immediate. So these are the revolutionary things which are happening. Gati Shakti Rail Plan. Already within a span, this was policy came out in 8 months, 9 months back, and within these 8 months, 9 months, 2 of our terminals have already been certified as Gati Shakti Rail Plan. The Taloja terminal, the Bandel terminal in West Bengal, they are already certified. And I think Gati Shakti rail plan reduces the cost of capex and the cost of creation of infrastructure, again multifold, and therefore reducing the cost of the logistics quickly. Building networks will now be easy, and the much awaited shift which the country has to see. The country moves 65 to 70% of its national freight by road, which is not the right movement. Unless the road to rail shift happens, this change is not going to happen. If you see after independence, 80% used to move by rail, 20% by road. Over a period of time, distortions crept in. And instead of the curve going up, it reversed. Road became more, rail started going down, and it is now high time that with building these logistics infrastructure, the curve will once again reverse, and in the next 10 years, rail should at least become 45%. JNPT port in Bombay is landlocked, is having severe infrastructural issues because the rail coefficient is only 14%, 15%. But if you see Mundra, it is 30% now. And I'm very confident that Mundra will go to 40% within the next couple of years. Those are the big shifts which has to happen. And we in Adani are very, very committed to piggyback on these wonderful policies and really build this efficient chain and network of logistics across the country. Capacity building, as we build this huge infrastructure, we realize that we need people having special digital skills, people having to understand how to implement the master plan. It is not just the digital skills to understand the architecture and all. To have ace construction engineers, master planners, architects, supply chain specialists, ESG domain knowledge people, engineers, so many people are needed. We need the shortage of drivers in this country. Not only the skilled, let's talk about the not so skilled. Not the white collar, look at the blue collar. The country has the biggest shortage of drivers. We need loco drivers. All these people, if you see 3 months in the year, the country suffers because drivers are not there. Loco drivers are not there. So if you see the spectrum, a wide variety of capacity building areas need to be generated. And at least in Adani, what we have realized is just lateral recruitment is not going to serve the need. And therefore we are working with all the respected, reputed industries institutes like NITI, where we pick up these fresh graduates. And we in Adani, we have started the Adani Leadership Development Program, where virtually hundreds of such people join Adani, and within the next 2 years, under the accelerated growth and working closely with the industry, developing joint programs, doing joint studies, we bring these people in straight away into the leadership, fast tracking and try to bridge this leadership gap that I'm talking about. So that has been the journey, that is the future. I thank Professor Tiwari for giving me the opportunity to come here and present and give a practitioner view of one thing is the policy view, what's actually happening on the ground, who are the people who are actually implementing these policies on the ground and giving the much needed boost to the nation. I'm proud to represent Adani Group. Thank you for listening to me so patiently.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the significance of last mile delivery and, of course, integration for truly realizing the potential of PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. I now request Professor Mohanty, sir, to kindly address the audience.
Right. So, first of all, respected Chairman Professor Tiwari, all my fellow panelists, all the dignitaries, the directors of different institutes. I can see our director, Professor V.K. Tiwari. A very warm welcome, and also to all the participants who are present today. So, the topic that I have today is the capacity building in logistics sector. But I would be focusing on the one aspect, that is digitalization, right? So let us see what are some of the issues that are extremely important with respect to the logistics field in our country mainly. See, digitalization, essentially there are three main aspects. As you can see, the automation, real-time control, and information management. See, some of us have perhaps missed that there is also a term like Industry 4.0 that is called Logistics 4.0. And what Logistics 4.0 says that these are the three main focus areas. And you know, there are 5 broad technology drivers which can make this possible: the Internet of Things, cyber physical systems, big data analytics, blockchain, and cloud computing. So you see, all of us, we are in some way or the other, we are experienced some of these things in here and there, but not in totality. But let me tell you, if you really want true digitalization, you have to have a blend, an integration of all these driver technologies which are going to be so important in the future. So you see, there are 2 broad aspects. One is the capacity building, and since this is more about the NEP, how the academic institutions like IIT Kharagpur or NITI can contribute there, and how the PM Gati Shakti is connected with it. Let's see that. First of all, let's talk about the digitalization per se. There is a thing called Digital India. Let us look at what is the extent to which our country is digitalized. See, we have now 110 crores mobile users in this country out of 140 crores people. And out of that, 69.7 crores are internet users, and 2/3 of them, that is about 32%, they use some kind of online financial services. So it is very clear that our connections are very, very large and wide. And if you really want digitalized logistics, digitalized supply chain, it's very much possible. Very much possible. The background is there. But then let's look at a simple example from road transport. We are seeing that 80% our fleet owners are small, and most of these small transport owners, they are dependent on traditionally to a third party booking agents. So what is happening? The truck drivers are talking, the truck owners, they are talking to the third party booking agents. The booking agents are talking to the end customer. What is happening here is a delay. What digitalization can do? Digitalization can bring digital booking agents. So you see, there is no need for the third party. You can directly talk to the the end customer. That reduces delay, and that reduces the overall logistics cost also. All right. So today this is possible. This is even as just a small area. I just thought of giving a very small example to begin with how PM Gati Shakti can really help. Now coming to the broad plan, that we should have a $5 trillion economy by 2025 and $10 trillion economy by 2030. We need tremendous changes, and these tremendous changes need capacity building at a very fast rate. And this very fast rate of capacity building can only be possible when we are creating modern infrastructure. But simply speaking about modern infrastructure is not enough. These modern infrastructure must be integrated. And these, when I say integrated at different levels. See, we have multitude of companies in this country. Now every company will go for digitalization. But if their digitalization steps are different and there is no common talking point, what will happen? They all have to build their own systems, and again, probably we get another kind of silos. Now, how the silos are to be broken? That's where the question comes. Now, there are two sides of it. I will come to the, the two sides one after the other. Let me first talk about how one silo has been broken with the effect of the PM Gati Shakti. And that is this master plan that we are really talking about, where all the different logistics, infrastructure and social ministries have come together. That is the example that Professor Tiwari has also referred. That is about the Bizac-N, which is created by the Bhaskaracharya Institute of Space Applications and Geoinformatics for major ministries, and almost all the states have come together. What is this particular, GIS and geospatial technologies? What exactly they do? You see, first of all, they bring 1500 layers of data, particularly the GIS and geotechnology based data, and integrating the spatial technologies, information systems and mathematical based systems. Now, what are the advantages that we can get? It drastically can build the synergy of operations. That means you really don't have to, let me give some examples what they can do. First of all, you can have the right locations of utilities. Say for example, you want to create a new warehouse. This warehouse location, where it should be, where from it will get the different facilities, what are the roads to which it is connected, what are the different clearances that may be required, all information you are going to get, and you will be able to find out, if you zero in on a given location, what could be the possible bottlenecks. So if the location is really not going to work, you don't have to waste time and energy and effort by unnecessarily trying out that particular option. You can directly come to the actual option which you can really work with. Other area is, in the case of disaster. In case of disaster, we have to reach very quickly. So we need to know, where do I keep my inventory positioning, where do I keep my help centers, what are the different nodes and other things that we create. So time is a very important element at that point of time. So this is another application which we can really think about, including the rerouting options. The third option is about agriculture. See, in agriculture, we need very important policy making with respect to soil quality, groundwater level, water availability, climate. We need to find out about the distribution of agricultural produce that the farmers they are having. Where should the mandis and markets and distribution centers should be located so that the optimum facilities can be generated. And a similar kind of thing can as well be thought about the health infrastructures, right? So this is just a simple one example about the Bizac-N software, where this integration really can bring in tremendous amount of bottleneck removal. Similarly, we should create multitude of similar applications across all the different areas. I am so happy that the Adani group has done wonderful work in many such areas, right? So that's really wonderful, and we need more and more of such kind of examples in all the fields. So beyond the Bizac-N example, you see there are certain bottlenecks and challenges. As I was talking about the different standards, the protocols. See, when it comes to the protocol, just think about it, even a simple thing like databases. Like, you are using one kind of database, another person is using another database. So when there are two different, even just think about the simple purchasing procedure. The purchasing procedure is different in companies. Like one company has one purchasing procedure, another company has got another purchasing procedure. So how really, if these two people do business, where do they come, to the common point? Now, why should we waste time in really bringing to that common point? Now, can we have standard protocols? That's where the authorities are required to really create standard protocols, the standard systems like the UML standard that we talk about in software development. So similar kind of things are essential. Connected IoT devices are required all across the countries. The requirement of something like on-demand freight, and most important thing, which are the last 2 points but not the least, are what is of our direct concern. That is the people, right? We have heard about the shortage of drivers. I have read that this is to the extent of 50%. The shortage of drivers in the logistics sector in the country is to the tune of 50%. And another paper I found, it is in US also the situation is the same. It's about 50% drivers are not available. Is it not? So that's the kind of shortage of manpower even at the blue collar level. And when it comes to white collar level, the requirement is enormous. And also, not only the requirement of the people that we have today, the requirement of training those people further, right? So training the people, they are already there. Retraining or thinking of appropriate training the people who are there in the academic institutions, both at the white collar and at the blue collar level, both are required. Then comes the most important thing about supply chain optimization. Now let me come to that supply chain optimization issue and with a particular example. One work that we have done at IIT Kharagpur, and I'm so happy that Maheshwar is also here, who was instrumental in doing that work. It is about the Indian food distribution systems. There are multiple skewedness in the production, PDS demand, storage capacity, surplus production systems, and other kind of thing. Just let me give a simple example. See, there are states like Punjab who are producing huge quantities of wheat, and they are also transporting huge quantity of wheat across the country. But let us take the state of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh also produces quite a high amount of wheat, but they are not really doing that amount of supply. The dispatch is less. Now the question is, sending some material from, let us say, Uttar Pradesh to Madhya Pradesh and Punjab to Madhya Pradesh is not the same. See? So therefore, some material which is today sent from Punjab to Madhya Pradesh, if it is sent from Uttar Pradesh to Madhya Pradesh, it will make a tremendous amount of saving. Similarly, if you look at where are the inventories, the storages are located, you will be find it is completely skewed. Most of it is in the north and in the central India. There are hardly any storage facilities in the eastern India or even northeast part of the country. So this has created imbalances, and these imbalances has created tremendous amount of unnecessary travel, unnecessary transportation, which can definitely be saved, and a tremendous amount of optimization is possible, right? So these we have seen and we have written papers about it. So this is one just simple example I wanted to show how optimization of supply chains at different level can bring in huge amount of advantages for the country. It is not easy to implement. It's very, very difficult to implement, but unless we begin, it can never be done. Now comes the manpower. When it comes to the manpower about the capacity, we need to create the trained workforce. Very, very good work has been done by NITI. They have taken the lead, and they have started 14 different courses. We at IIT Kharagpur also, we have given different courses on logistics, supply chain management, transportation, geoinformatics. We have a very, very vibrant NPTEL course system, and not only NPTEL, at different levels we have given a large number of courses to the industry as well as our own students. So that facility is we have created, and I am sure such facilities should be augmented not only in the IITs but almost at all institutes. That is another area. And finally, numerous number of students are doing research in all these areas. So a good number of students are also doing internship in all these areas. So facilities are possible to create, the process is there, we only have to take help of that. Right? So these are my concluding remarks, that yes, lot of things are done, lot of things can also be possible to do so as to create amplifying effects. All right, we need digital transformation can help tremendously, and I'm sure that PM Gati Shakti, which has been the pioneering what you call initiative, will transform the country, and all the best to this particular initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the importance of digitization of logistics system, and of course, Baisa again in the crucial fulfillment of the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. I now request Prasad sir to kindly address the audience.
Respected Chair, Professor Manoj Tiwari, my fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen. I thank Professor Tiwari for giving me this opportunity. Since the launch of the National Logistics Policy, our official from the ministry, we had several meetings since last year, and we at NIT Calicut, in our own humble way, started a center of excellence in logistics and supply chain management. Of course, we are getting advisors from our Professor Deshmukh, Professor Mohapatra, Professor Mohandi, and Professor Tiwari. And since launching this Center of Excellence, we are proud to say that we have already exceeded the mandate. We have trained more than 1,050 professionals, and we have conducted several programs, and I will briefly tell you what are the new courses we have developed. Yesterday I was listening to a panel discussion on right to quality education and governance, and in that Sri Ashank Desai, he talked about additional verticals for our national education policy. You know, the policy has separated the regulatory, the funding, the research, and the accreditation. They have been separated for good. But then he was saying we should have additional connect, like the technology connect. And the second most important is the society connect. And if you think of a sector which is the most connected, is the logistics and supply chain. When we order breakfast or lunch or dinner and medicines, we don't have to move out today, and we order something, and even in metros like Delhi, same day the TV or the washing machine is delivered. We seldom understand, realize the importance of people like All Cargo, the Adani, and Unilever, where they are trying hard to get things. Such a country of 1.4 billion, things are happening. Today we are really proud of this industry support that we are, in spite of this volume. But however, in today's presentation by Sudarshan Jain, I was listening to that about the research and development in the pharmaceutical sector. India can be proud of the pharmacy capital of the world, and we supply into 120 countries medicines. But then he was saying in terms of value, in terms of volume, we are supplying many drugs, but in terms of value, we are only, I think, 14th in the world. So that is an important thing. And we also, when you talk about this movement, freight movement by rail, road, and waterways, etc., one thing we should not forget is the environmental impact. I am coming from a state which has 600 kilometers coastal line. And traditionally, Kerala used to use the inland waterways for the movement of the rubber, the coir, and those products. Unfortunately, unfortunately, it is not happening now. In fact, the easiest and the most cost-effective, even better than the rail transport, is the inland waterways. And I'm sure many states can leverage on that, and that should be taken. Kerala is a state, we can beautifully have multimodal transport, and this inland waterways is the best solution for state. So my colleagues from the IITs have already spoken about the importance, and when I was listening to Professor Tiwari's presentation in our discussions with the ministry official, he was talking about the demand for professionals in the logistics sector is something like 60,000. And all the IITs and some of the NITs were asked to train every year 1,000 professionals. And so that means all of us have to work together to at least reach this kind of 60,000 professionals. And somebody was saying that, the Western world is requiring 30 million competent manpower, where India has its demographic dividend of 65 million young workforce. And if you can train them, if you have the capacity building, and I'm sure we will be supplying this competent and skilled manpower to the entire world. So friends, we all understand when the roadmap to achieve this transformative goal includes, my friend Professor Mohanty has already spoken, the infrastructure development, the highways, railways, airports, seaports, dedicated freight corridors, inland waterways, technology adoption. He just talked about the digitization of the supply chain, such as the Internet of Things, AI, big data analytics, digital twins, and blockchain. The skilled workforce, multimodal connectivity, single window clearance. In fact, I look at, with jealousy the way the highways are built in the country, unlike the infrastructure in our NITs. I'm really getting impatient when the infrastructure development takes, inordinate delays, and so how to minimize. Today somebody talked about in the R&D infrastructure, Professor Sudhir Jain, he was talking about 48 hours of, getting the approvals. And my faculty colleagues are all fed up with these, so many bureaucracy in getting the approval. So if you don't have that, no point in talking about all this national logistics plan. PM Gati Shakti, he is trying to integrate several ministries, several departments, and that is a lovely plan. So, but we have to implement. We are good at planning, writing reports. Indians are known for that. I remember when I was secretary in NBA, so many reports on revamping the Indian education system, globalization, internationalization, quality, accreditation. Nobody read the reports. It went to the parliament and distributed. Finally, whenever my friends from the industry or education system, I used to give them as a gift, please read this. But that is not enough, friends. Even this is a great policy, the NEP is a great policy, but then we should be implementing that. So single window clearance, e-commerce integration, sustainable practices, there's a lot to do. When you have we are seeing a ecologically sensitive region like when the rail transport goes to the Konkan, you have seen how many wildlife is affected. So even road transport in the Bandipur wild sanctuary. So we have to be very sensitive, and we have to think about the environmental impact. And then of course there are many schemes like the Bharatmala, Sagarmala, and the Parvatmala, global trade integration, research and innovation. Obviously this transformation will unleash tremendous business opportunities, create jobs, and drive the country towards a prosperous future. Now, it is imperative to foster a spirit of collaboration, education, and innovation within the logistics and supply chain, capacity building through the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. By investing in modern infrastructure, skill development, technology adoption, policy reforms, and sustainable practices, India can build a robust logistics ecosystem that supports its economic growth aspirations and becomes a globally competitive force. So with this objective, we have created this center, which is called a Center of Excellence in Logistics and Supply Chain Management. This September, we will be having our anniversary. And this is a multidisciplinary. In fact, NIT Calicut had a very strong industrial and operations master's program, which has been going on. We have been offering for more than 3 decades. We also had a transportation planning program, and we had a strong group in architecture and planning in geospatial system, and our colleagues in the drones logistics and the drones group. So all these different groups were, as somebody mentioned about the silos, that is the biggest problem in all our academies, these silos, even the electric and electronics department, they don't talk each other, and there are lots of true integration has to happen thanks to the multidisciplinarity, flexibility, and all-inclusiveness, the thrust of the national education policy. So we have to break down these silos, and PM Gati Shakti Master Plan is a great initiative in that. So what we have done is, with the discussion with Professor Tiwari, we had several research groups coming together from our industrial engineering, supply chain management, transportation engineering, remote sensing, geospatial technology, construction management, system thinking, and cyber security. We had a discussion with 27 of my faculty colleagues, and then finally we launched the center in last September 19th, 2022. And this center will be a forward-looking center, pooling their expertise to explore and harness new and emerging technologies with multidisciplinarity, translational research, relevant to achieve the objectives of the National Logistics Master Plan. Now, we have already taken steps to advance knowledge and promoting digitization, which Professor Mahanti just mentioned, especially in the areas of IoT application, AI, machine learning application, for the practicing professionals, etc. Now, we have also, partnering with NITI Mumbai, we have curated 15 courses in the domain of logistics and supply chain management. The recent curriculum revision, we have already started a minor in supply chain management. We have also, already the open electives are offered in different areas of supply chain. Before I conclude, I want to give some of the special schemes we have given. In the one scheme is called Kushala. Kushala means knowledge upskilling in supply chain management and logistics for Atmanirbharata, by skilling, upskilling, and reskilling the youth and working professionals to support their logistics human resource development. I don't like to call human resource. No, it should be called human development. People should not be taken like materials or finance like resource. So as a spiritual man, I hate to say this, human resource, though we call HRD, but at least now Department of Education now, human resource is not for a resource. Without that, nothing can happen in this world. So human development maybe, and capacity building initiatives. We are proud to say we are certified 1035 professionals in it, and another scheme is called Pragati, which stands for Practical, Research-Driven, Advanced Gati Shakti Aligned Technology Internship, which I want my industry friends to partner with us. We have currently 14 students are pursuing their summer internship in various areas of logistics and supply chain. Another scheme is called Jaitra. Jaitra stands for Joint Academic Initiative Towards Remarkable Achievements with the center. This Jaitra is primarily focusing on partnership with our industry. So I request our All Cargo, Unilever, and Adani Logistics and other industry in the area of logistics and supply chain to partner with us. Please think beyond the IITs. That is important. We are also doing in humble way. I request this logistics sector, please, we have 32 NITs in the country, and I'm sure our boys will do. In fact, the delivery, which is a logistics company, is by our NIT alumnus, the delivery which you mentioned. And as a and another scheme is the Samarth, where we have the student ambassadors. Student ambassador for, our undergraduate student, they are the cream of the country, and if you can take them as ambassadors for multi-perspective activities related to logistics and supply chain, and they have already launched a newsletter called Pragya, which is publications related to activities in logistics and supply chain. This is an excellent platform for students to know about this national logistics plan and to showcase their creativity, writing skills, and communication abilities. I think I will stop. There are many such more schemes are there. And before I close, I would like to, not only NIT, but many IIM has their own supply chain management center. Madras IIT has a National Technology Center for Ports, Waterways, and Coast. And many more. Doon University has their own center of excellence in logistics and supply chain, and many more institutions are partnering. But we need more institutions to reach the target of 60,000 professionals. Before I close, friends, I want to talk about some of the short-term certificate courses we have developed. These are the courses on port development, operations and management, warehouse automation, disaster responsive humanitarian logistics, applications of MCDM methods in logistics and transportation engineering, digital supply chain management. In fact, digital supply chain is the vertical given to NIT Calicut by Professor Tiwari. Recent advances in freight transportation, smart mobility and research trends. Soon we are also going to start a master's program in logistics and supply chains. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for bringing to our notice the importance of tapping into our immense talent pool for truly realizing and implementing our policies. I would now like to request Ruma ma'am to kindly address the audience.
Picture abhi baki hai dost. For those between lunch. So, with permission of the chair, I would probably want to make it a little colloquial and fun if it's okay, right? I wouldn't be standing there. तो सबसे पहले थोड़ा सा हिंदी, थोड़ा सा इंग्लिश मिक्स. What company do I represent? Unilever. तो एक चीज़ करते हैं, सब खड़े हो जाएं प्लीज़, एक मस्ती करेंगे, सब प्लीज़. Not the panel, it's okay, sorry, मैं अपने professors को, professor from my institute is there. So if you have used one of Unilever's products in the last 1 week or even yesterday, just raise your hands and clap up, okay? Lifebuoy, Lux, Sunsilk, Surf Excel, Lalita ji ठीक कहती हैं, for those of us who are from पुराना generation, है ना? Domex, बच्चों ने ice cream खाई होगी, quality walls, right? So that, yeah, please sit down. Thank you for getting up. So that is really Hindustan Unilever, but Hindustan Unilever is our largest business by volume and second largest by value, and but it is present across 190 countries. तो आप सबके शायद हाथ थे, कोई बचा नहीं था. Thank you for using our products. 9 out of 10 people in India use Unilever products every day, and 2 out of 3 people, 7 billion people use our products every day. So that's a little bit about my company. A little bit background why I gave was in the context of logistics, थोड़ा सा different context है हमारा. And the first one, however, I think it was quite an emotional story from Mr. Jaisinghania as well. Ki doing good for people and planet. So yes, the business is about everyday needs, Vim, Domex, Surf Excel, Nahana Dhona, everything. But it is about doing well by doing good. Now in that process, where does logistics come on? And I'll reflect on a little bit. But सबसे पहले एक चीज़ बतानी है, and I think you touched upon digitalization, we touched upon this. I am an animalist of NITI, and both my professors are here as well. Just one thing I want to highlight, that in terms of capability, we in Unilever have set up our largest global hub in Bangalore to deliver capabilities for the world, including logistics, and I'll talk about that. The largest transportation systems, OTM, Oracle Transport Management, in the world, runs out of India, was developed, implemented across 190 countries out of India as an example. So India is already, in my view, very, very well positioned to deliver and is delivering global capabilities, not only for India, but for world, and we just need to highlight it. Another example, Yes, we have high logistics costs. We said that they're on the higher side in India. But do you know the India business of logistics, HUL, can you guess what is the percentage of logistics cost? Any guesses? Professor mentioned around 13-14% a couple of years ago. Germany is 8%. That's a trademark, benchmark होना चाहिए. लेकिन India ने दुनिया को क्या दिखाया है? 4.5%. Our logistics costs are 4.5%. They beat Germany or anybody else, even in the Unilever world. So the reason I'm mentioning all that, and I'll come to probably opportunities and challenges, and then I'll stop, because a lot has been said, and now we'll give examples of how we can go about it. The first is India के context में challenges भी हैं, opportunities भी हैं. The challenges we have heard about. One of the speakers gave an example of truck. एक truck driver के पास कितनी trucks होती हैं इंडिया में? Any guesses? कितनी? 3 से ज़्यादा नहीं होती हैं. 80-90% people have got less than 3 trucks. Why I'm mentioning is supply side is hugely fragmented. Truck is one example. MSMEs, 3 million MSMEs हैं. So there is a lot of fragmentation on the supply side. Why it is important in context of logistics is efficiency. The reason our India GDP costs are on the higher side, there is a lot of infrastructure optimization happening, but equally, you need a lot of digitalization that was spoken about. The opportunities, on the other hand, are clearly that this is a place where a lot of speakers have said, internet, human capital, these are the positives. So I'll just probably give a few examples and then I'll stop with an ask from the academia and industry. What are the 3 challenges that we see for the world today, based on what we have heard today? अभी तो theory हो गई, अब तो एक professors ने बता दिया, अभी practical पूछना पड़ेगा. The first one is efficiency. So efficiency का एक example मैंने already दिया. For example, digitalization, and I want to focus on some examples of that, can really drive efficiency in a very fragmented supply side, as an example. Or already e-commerce, as consumers, you're seeing the impact of that. Ek example, the truckload utilization, right? Because it is so fragmented, intermediaries come in 30%, and we talked about digital booking agents, etc. Now, Oracle Transport Management, for example, helps us connect all the transporters, and not only for India, but for the world. And you have dock booking, you have bidding, you have got various things on it. So this is one example of making connections as well as optimizing truckload building, utilization, etc. Now I'll come to possibility, just in this one space. If you limit it to a company doing this, there is only so much you can do. But imagine if you can open it up. There was this concept of a logistics business network across the board, and imagine if you can build a business network, which is agnostic, and because logistics is all about making connections. So that's just possibilities where innovation can really help. Second example, how can digitalization help? Who has heard of Suez Canal crisis? Suez Canal crisis, ship atak gayi thi na, right? So in that case, we were able to really optimize the way our ships were running because we had virtual ocean control towers, which me and my team run for the world again, based out of India, delivering for the world. So again, the theme is, and here there are a lot of alert systems, meshes, EDI technologies, a lot of things come into play to really deliver the control towers and the information that is required to optimize your shipping routes, knowing dynamically what's happening. So innovation, driving efficiencies is very connected. Second example, second challenge kya hai duniya mein? Sustainability, worrying about people and planet. So, with apologies, आपने बोला, and I agree with you कि trucks जो है कम होना चाहिए, but फिलहाल हमारी trucks run 1.3 billion kilometers in a year. How much is that distance? 4 round trips round the sun. 4 round trips round the sun. तो उसमें अगर if you optimize by 20 to 30%, which is what we end up doing on an average, we are saving 338 million tons of carbon dioxide already. So one example of sustainability is about how can we, second is of course geospatial technologies on sourcing and sourcing from the right suppliers, because we want to ensure we go with the suppliers who are sustainable and also give common minimum wages, etc., because you want to bring the society up. So again, on the planet aspect, technology can play a huge role along with this. The last, but not the least, is about people. And people, I will just give, there are various things about people. एक example देती हूँ, on transporters की तो life improve हो जाती in the example that I gave. Another example is, anybody has heard of Shakti Ammas? Shakti Ammas, nahi? So women in logistics or women in delivery, we have 190,000 women in rural areas who become delivery agents actually. And 50% of them are, पहले तो उनको मोबाइल यूज़ करना नहीं आता था, वो इंडिया में केबीज वगैरह में यूज़ करते थे, लेकिन धीरे धीरे they have learned. 50% of them now do ordering on an app called Shikhar. हाँ, it is available on Google Play, आप देख लो, order करते हैं, and then they are able to do. Now what that does is uplifts the society, you reach the interior pockets, you uplift the women. एक छोटा सा example हमारे chairman ने दिया था, if you go to these villages, पहले women would be walking behind, now they are walking in the front. पैसा आ गया हाथ में, so society and status increases. So it's about uplifting also the society along with you. Women in logistics have increased dramatically, and of course Unilever, and I was very happy to know the Halls cargo number also, 55% you said. So in India we are 48% and globally we are 50% in managerial positions, because that's a key metric. So that is about helping people and planet. Now I'll end with this, where can academia help? Our headline केवल ये है, 10% digital, 90% is about people and capabilities. So my request is, there is a lot of challenge on the table. Logistics, food waste, e-commerce, में क्या है. So research work streams between industry and academia can be a huge unlock in solving ongoing problems. So for me, that is one big ask. The second is, like we discussed, the creation of skilled capability with people. Not only skills, but also values. Those are the two, innovation and developing the right manpower. So that probably is where I would see a huge unlock can come through new education policy, overlaying the infrastructure with a lot of digital capabilities for the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for bringing to our notice the importance of values such as sustainability, innovation, and training for manpower to truly realize the potential of our policies. With this, now I request the session chair, Professor Manoj Kumar Tiwari, sir, to kindly commence the Q&A session.
Before we go for the Q&A session, first of all, I ask the opinion of the audience also. If you have any question on the topic, please raise your questions to the panelists, please.
Yes, so my second question was that to achieve the target of 8% growth, what is your expectations from the higher education institutes and even at school, that what kind of initiatives should be taken to cater the requirement? Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. So I think if you see the progress in the building up of the logistics infrastructure has been relatively slower till 2017-18, and then it is progressively becoming faster. To give a case in example, we used to take 2.5 years minimum for putting up one MMLP. The last MMLP that we put up in Taloja was put up in 5 months, which is an all-time record. So, logistics skill remained within the sector. And it was one person moving from one company to another or one port to another or something like that. And that is why the commensurate growth of capability in the sector was never available. But I think a lot of people, including Adani's, we realized much ahead, at least 3, 4, 5 years back, that now we will have to pollinate this sector with fresh talent. We will have to also bring in other people from other sectors over here and then start training them over here. And then internally
experiential learning, and then with the help of the industry, or like we did a very massive course on supply chain with NITI, where I think about 20-25 people participated. By a mix of these activities, we started creating internal talent. As I say this, even today the gap is pretty huge. I cannot say that we have bridged that talent. Today also, I would say that if I need 100 people, I have got 60, and that 40 is something which is all struggle. Today, the struggle is not the financial resource. Today, the struggle is more the human resource part of it, more the availability of the right people, trained people to get the job. And as and when we bridge this gap, we will be able to accelerate the growing. I think that gap earlier was pretty huge, but today as I speak, on an experiential basis, every 100 positions I want, I have already 60-65 at this point of time. Yeah. Maybe in the next 1 year, this 60-65 will become 70-75, and then the next 2 years will come closer to where we want, and then you will see the commensurate output in the creation of that infrastructure and the reduction of the cost. It's happening, I would say exponentially, not linearly. Yeah.
You talked about the in-house competency development. My question is again the second part of it, since this new education policy coming in. So what is your recommendation that what kind of courses should be offered to the students at even school level or higher education? Because now the skilling will be a major component the students can opt for.
So it's a plethora of subjects. It cannot be one subject. Okay, digitization is pretty obvious. But apart from digitization, supply chain also has to be more broad-based than it was. When we were in the colleges, supply chain did not talk about railways. And in fact, I started learning railways only 5 years back, when I practically went into Adani Logistics. Railway engineering is a very key component of logistics, but what were we taught in the college over there? Logistics was truck. What about airline and airport? I don't know, I was one of the instrumental persons of setting up the Hyderabad airport in my previous avatar. Okay. But I did my MBA in aviation at the age of 52. And no such courses available anywhere in the country. I had to do that from Montreal. Okay. So today, India has to imbibe all these things. Airport logistics is also a part of the logistics ecosystem. Railway is also a part of the logistics. Today, have we reached that scale and the intensity and the depth that we need? No. But has the industry realized? Oh yes. And people are working for it. That is why this forum and this thinking and the research all are happening to bridge that gap.
So I think paucity of time, there may other questions also, but we have to summarize the session. So here all the speakers, they have discussed different aspects of PM Gati Shakti master plan and its connection with the broader logistics issues, courses that are being conducted, focus on digitization, and what are the other emerging technologies that are coming up. So subjects, now already we have listed that what are the industry relevant subjects that can be covered by the institutions to promote the capacity building. And some of the key takeaways are like this, that we have to look into account the digitization aspects, support many of the interdisciplinary courses that can be taught by the institutions to the students. We should also support internship and projects very much by the students in these domains, maybe port logistics, maybe multimodal logistics, digitization, storage, warehouse, automation. So these are all the different walks of life, and also mixing up the interdisciplinary areas, like say how the emerging technologies like blockchain, digitization, machine learning, AI, operation research, or simulations, how they can mix to solve many of the challenging problems. They also need to be promoted, and so many efforts will be made, like what Delivery has done for IT Delhi and NIT. Similarly, we have also 3 unicorns in the area of logistics. So I think we should also drive the innovations and entrepreneurship through these subjects. So I think this will be a broad message. So with this, I hope that the panel and audience, you have utilized the time, and we should close the discussion. So once again, from my side, thank you to all of you for coming all the way and giving time, and also to our viewers that listening though despite food is being served now, so it's a time for that. So very sorry to say that this delay has taken place, but so many interesting points were taught, so I have not disturbed them at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now request Shri Achint Kumar, Under Secretary, Ministry of Education, to kindly present memento to our session chair, Professor Tiwari, sir, please. To Deshmukh, sir, please. To Suresh, sir, please. To Vikram, sir, please. To Professor Mohanty, sir, please. I would like to invite Shri Deepak Vats, Joint Secretary UGC, to kindly present the memento to Prasad, sir, please. I would like to invite Dr. Tejas Joshi, Joint Secretary UGC, to kindly present the memento to Ruma ma'am, please. Thank you so much once again to all our respected panelists and our wonderful audience.